do for grants and things we're talking about amongst administrators. Mr. Scheffler was kind enough to actually put our name in for a site grant for our school for any project we saw fit, as long as it met certain criteria. The project I chose for the middle school for next year is we're going to purchase 30 iPads for the junior high, and we're going to basically put them on 2 mobile carts. We did a fundraising campaign this year for the elementary school at the West Campus, and through that we got another 30 that we got through donations, private donations, and things like that. So combined on the main campus, we'll have 60 that will be used with our teachers, with our kids, and things like that. And they're all going to be put on mobile carts that they can be moved class to class, not just kept stationary. So we can get a lot more technology in the classroom and things of that nature. So I want to thank these guys for helping us out and being so generous with what they can do. We just got to do 2 pictures and we got it here.
Thanks.
Is there any questions?
Thank you very much.
Do it over here in front of the chalkboard?
Sure.
That classroom picture, so?
Yeah, that's okay. Against the blue wall, I think it's okay.
We need to frame you, huh?
We'll let you be in the middle.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, got that one. And one more.
Yep.
All righty.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
So unfortunately,
We got-
You gotta take the
We
big
gotta
one,
take the
right?
big one.
Josh, thank you.
Do you have the one?
Yeah, I got the.
You get the money one.
All righty.
Always one more.
all righty.
It's okay with you guys, we're gonna go ahead and take off.
Thank you guys, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Be seeing you around.
That's all I've got as far as superintendent's report, unless Mr. Meadows has something. Do you have anything, Mr. Meadows, in the superintendent's report?
Just that the reason why we're in here today is because the library is being remodeled, and the carpet's been laid, there's some tiling work that still needs to be done, and then David Campbell's gonna come in the course, over the course of the next couple of weeks and get it painted white and put the stripe around 3 sides, kind of like we have in the hallway with the school colors. And
Did we knock the wall out, or is that?
we did take the wall out. It's open now. We'll have 16 standalone computers in there. And then I also think that Mr. Field has applied for a grant that will give us more technology in there as well. So, and some new furniture and new circulation desks. So it's going to be quite a change in there. It should be a very inviting place for kids. And
Is the door open down there? Can we go peek at it afterwards? Yeah.
yeah, I'll get the lights turned on. But Bruce took the wall out, and then we put a wall in between where the computers are going to be and the storage room back there, kind of a workroom for Mrs. Bryant. So far, it looks really good. Looks huge.
Yeah. Like that. Okay. I'll move on to old business.
Under old business, Stephanie had asked that this be added to the agenda regarding official district videotaping of board meetings. It's something that you might want to discuss. I don't think you have to take official action on it tonight. You can put that on the agenda for next month if you come to a conclusion on what you want to do. So there has been some debate on the videotaping, whether or not we should have the official videotape of the board meetings, and of course that's up to you all to decide that. Do you have any discussion or thoughts or direction to go from there?
Okay. Well, my initial thought was I think it's imperative that the school be the sole keeper of the videotapes and put them on the district website for 30 days following, and then maybe we can archive them off to, elsewhere and put the new one up, that type of thing. But my thought process was we do have several cameras I know that we utilize for taping games and studying film and that kind of thing. So I didn't know, and I know you guys were going to talk with Mr. Correctly and Mr. Field about whether we can work it into potentially the communications class or one of the business classes, and having that be something for them to do and be in charge of. So that was just kind of where I was coming from on it. I don't know if anybody has any better suggestions or questions or thoughts or,
Another resource you might want to tap into is listen to video, is professional photography. So, I don't know if you know about video.
Who's that?
Lisbon. It's fun. You can't work it into a classroom. That's part of the curriculum in the classroom. So, just got suggestions. Yeah, if we were in charge of real technique, you know, save any editing, then might always be done.
I think it's a great idea.
yeah.
I mean-
Have you guys had a chance to talk about it yet, you know, Mr. Field, with the upcoming school?
Mr. Field and I have talked about it with the possibility. I don't think the equipment's gonna be the issue, maybe the storage and where we're gonna keep, that's probably gonna be a Q&S question with Josh, and they've kind of been in and out over the summer. It's kind of difficult to run those people down, but I think it can be done. But the main thing, I guess, from a district standpoint, is I don't want kids to have access to it, and they might have to come in, maybe it's something even the pub class could do, and come in and shoot the video. But I would want to make sure that Mr. Gurecki or Mr. Field, I'm sure they feel the same way, and want to have control of that,
Right.
what gets on the website.
Right, I thought they would take it then to whomever, if it's the pub class or communications, whatever, that they can go and that teacher would then be directly related to either editing it or putting a title page on it or whatever, and then Mr. Berkey could post it or something to that effect. The same token being that, you know, the pub class is essentially at every event taking pictures, and I know we've gotten several different comments regarding the website not being updated in a timely manner, so if they could do that and zip file over him once a month, you know, a set of pictures just to put up and change them out monthly or something,
Yeah, it should
that
be
would be
that
great.
deal.
Yeah, just things that pop into my small mind sometimes.
Well, again, I think it's something you can discuss next month and make a move on it within the next couple of months.
Yeah. I'd like to see it September, you know, if we could get something once after school starts, maybe that, for that meeting in September would be my goal.
So the piece we're really still missing is the archiving, the Q&S people. So do you think between now and the July meeting, you can maybe?
It might be more feasible to do before the August one,
Okay.
because then Mr. Gurecki will be back in
Okay.
school as well. And we've got 3 weeks between now and the next board
That's
meeting.
right.
So with this one being so late, I think it might be in August. Maybe it'd be better to put it on the agenda for them.
For August.
So if you guys know about that.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. All right, and then, any other old business anyone wants to discuss? And on to new business.
Okay, under new business, the first thing this time of year, our property casualty insurance is up for renewal. Lee Rupnick is here, he is our agent, and he met with a committee to discuss insurance. I was part of that committee, Mr. Meadows, Stephanie, and Leonard met with Lee. And Lee, if you want to just kind of give us the Reader's Digest version of what we've covered.
Sure, thank you for the introduction, I appreciate it. Unfortunately, I didn't bring a large check, so that's a tough act to follow. But we'll do our best. So, first thing I wanted to say is welcome to all the new board members. This is the first time I've had an opportunity to meet some of you, and I really appreciate your time. And then, of course, goodbye to the former board members and superintendent. It's been a pleasure working with you, and I thank you for all of your support over the last 4 years. As Mr. Fowler alluded to, each year, just to keep it simple and keep it quick, the renewal process, I like to meet with sort of a smaller committee, and typically that's included the board president and the superintendent. And this year we had both outgoing and incoming for those positions, so we had the benefit of really having 4 or 5 or more people, including Carol, to get eyes on everything. And we went over, throughout the course of about a 90-minute meeting, we poured over every detail possible on this, and everybody stayed awake, so that was awesome. But I sort of pared all of that down to deliver a few pieces of information and then some details about the renewal that everyone seems to be leaning towards. So at the end, I always try to be pretty quick, pretty brief with these presentations for two reasons. I know the board has the district has a lot of business to take care of, firstly, and secondly, I want to leave an hour for questions if you needed them. We've never spent an hour on questions, but I'm perfectly willing to do that. So, again, my name is Lee Brutnick, and I'm with American Central Insurance. I think most of you are familiar with our agency. We represent, as independent agents, we represent about 15 direct carriers, and we have markets with up to, relationships with up to about 80 other carriers. So not all of those carriers are interested in writing municipal school district business, but the ones who do write that type of business, we approach to identify the best possible offer for the district's insurance moving forward in the new year. So if you don't mind, I'd like to take just a quick look back at the last year. It's always important, I think, to illustrate what your carrier is doing for you. Everybody knows what we do for them. We send them a big chunk of the district's funding. So I'd like to point out that they do handle some things in return for us. And I think everyone might be familiar with this document. This is called loss history. It's just a report of the claims that have been made, both in the history of the account, which this will be the 5th renewal, so we've had 4 full policy terms, and also the most recent year. So there's a lot of information here. If everybody can just look at that second column down where it says 7/114 to 7/115, and then in business auto, workers' comp, and commercial umbrella. What that means is the losses for that year on those particular lines of business. Auto has always been great for the district. We've had $1,700 in claims in 4 years, so rarely have any activity on that line, and that's great because the commercial auto is always the highest exposure to catastrophic loss. If the district's going to incur a $2 million claim, it's likely going to come from that line of business. So we're doing very well there. Workers' compensation this year, if you can follow that top line again, is 14 to 15. It was a very challenging year. We currently have claims of 81,124 for the policy term. Which is not great, but what I can say that's optimistic is that every one of these claims was a legitimate injury, and all of these people got right back to work as soon as they were possibly able, which saves the district's loss history. It also makes me able to better market the account to prospective carriers each year. So that's not always the case. Sometimes you can have one $81,000 claim that was an employee stubbing their toe and is working the system. So you guys have a wonderful staff. Everybody got right back to work, and Mr. Fowler's office, including Carol, actually implemented a return to work program that helps reduce one of the large claims on this, which is very important. It's something that takes a little bit of involvement on the administrative staff's part, and it's something that not everybody cares about, but it makes a huge difference. And that number would have easily been 110 or 115 had we not implemented that return to work. And just a brief history of that, it's just when you get an employee right back to work so that you can stop paying their indemnity, which is the payment of their wages, even if that work is reduced duty. So maybe a teacher or a janitor turns into a filing person and works from a table or a chair while they're healing and recovering. So thank you for that. Commercial umbrella, you're only going to have any activity on that if you have a very big claim on something else, so that's a 0. And then the next page, again, across the top, 14 to 15, it says commercial package. That includes all of the business personal property, which is everything from books to computers, the buildings, the bleachers. It also includes general liability for the district, directors and officers coverage for you folks in case there was ever a mistake. I'm sure nobody in this room has ever made a mistake, but if you did and it costs money, there'd be insurance coverage likely for that. So there's quite a bit of coverage that goes into that package, and that claim is almost exclusively the scoreboard. Again, completely out of the district's control, and that's taken into account when underwriting reviews the loss history when offering a renewal. So you can't control the wind, and even big bad insurance carriers understand that. If I could bother you to flip through one more page. This is what I mentioned, the total for the account. Over the life of 4 policy terms, there have been 32 claims for a total of $235,000, which is not terrible. It's actually pretty good, so I don't want that number to scare anybody, but at the same time, when the district is authorizing very big payments, I want you to see that sometimes a lot of money comes back actually too. So. And then finally, the next page, which I believe is page 4, is a second loss report. I apologize for the small printing. The number to pay attention to here is right in that first underlined column, and that is $52,400 and change. That was the second set of claims that was actually implemented for student accidents, which are supplementary payments to the students' families' health insurance, and it's a service that's offered to those students in the student body who may need that service, who may be underinsured or possibly not insured at all. So that $52,000 went to pay medical bills for injured children. So that's important, and it saves the district a great deal of headache dealing with parents and angry parents most often. So that policy is very important, and it's an optional policy. It's not like workers' compensation where the state makes you have it. So I think we all agree that it's important coverage, and we can certainly see that it's doing something and it's responding. So, any questions so far? Okay. And the next page is a blue spreadsheet. Basically what I've done is we quoted 8 different carriers to identify, again, the best possible proposal for the renewal this year. Of those 8 carriers, there were about the top 4 are listed here. And the small insurance committee that I met with last week reviewed all of the quotes, all 8 of them. We put everything together, looked at it side by side, and sort of made a determination. But I did include most of the information that we discussed here for your reference. And if anybody cares to look past this page, anything that's on this sheet is actually included in long quote format behind it. So these are the details, but if you prefer more, actually this is the snapshot. If you prefer details, it goes on for several pages after. This year, Liberty Mutual will be covering $31,943,000 and some change in property value. That includes all of the district's buildings and movable property, including outdoor property like scoreboards and bleachers. Included in that premium also is the general liability at the same limit we've always operated with for the last 10 years to my knowledge. And it also includes things like directors and officers coverage, sexual abuse and molestation liability, general liability, so a wealth of coverages in that section there. That premium for that line of business is $48,000 this year, the best offer from Liberty Mutual. Then moving down to the workers' compensation, which is the most costly line of coverage for the district, you pay about $4 million in payroll to district staff. So that's a lot of opportunity for individuals to be injured. And the very best offer we were able to identify is, again, Liberty Mutual's renewal offer of $83,000 on that line. And then each of the lines that we were able to obtain quotes from to the right of that $83,000 number. Commercial auto, moving down, $1 million in coverage for that, which is also lies under the district's $4 million umbrella policy, so you essentially have $5 million in coverage there. The premium on that is $15,000. And maybe a special note here, we have the old buses on the current policy, but effective 7/1, the new equipment goes on to that policy, which may change this $15,000 number, but it would change it nominally because we're only removing units and adding units. The newness of the buses or the number of buses could potentially affect that beyond just the incremental change. So that's the premium today. Will change just a bit when the policy renews. The student accident coverages that we discussed, I think everybody might remember we have 2 policies, a $0 to $25,000 policy, which is designed to be a medical accident coverage. If a student comes in with a minor injury or relatively minor injury, this policy will respond. If a student suffers a severe injury, a neck injury or head trauma that's much more expensive, the second policy down is a catastrophic accident policy with a $1 million limit and a $25,000 deductible. So we endeavored to make that a 0 to 25 coverage and a 25 to 1 million coverage for minor and more serious injuries. Premiums listed for those specific coverages. And then again this year, the district has a $4 million umbrella, which I think is sufficient. You always get more liability coverage and it covers more causes of loss with the umbrella. So it's a value to get the $4 million coverage, and it's incrementally more expensive per million than the board ever decided to move up or down. It's about $600 difference per million coverage there. So that brings the total to $163,987 for this year, which represents about an 8% increase over premium last year, which is not too painful, but we prefer a flat renewal, which just means a 0% increase. But of course, the cost of claims and legal services and property values continue to rise, so insurance has to rise to respond to those specific increases. Again, in closing, we actually did review the 3 that are listed here. We reviewed a couple of other quotes that had quotes for every line of coverage, and Liberty Mutual is simply better. And we have the benefit of historical premium with Liberty Mutual. We've paid premium to them for 4 or 5 years, so they will be slightly less sensitive to a difficult loss year like we just had on the work comp. If we have another year like that, Liberty Mutual will be our best bet for a fair renewal. So I believe that's why the small committee sort of leaned towards renewing with Liberty Mutual, but of course that's up to the board as a whole, and that's sort of why I was here, to make everyone feel comfortable with the plan moving forward and get any feedback.
Anyone have any questions or comments for Mr. Upton?
Do buses, refresh my memory on buses, is the premium on a bus driven by the VIN number, which dictates the price symbol like any other commercial auto?
It is, yes. A 2015 Bluebird bus is going to cost you a little bit more because they typically hold a few more passengers, which is also a factor in the pricing of that. And also they cost more to replace for every ding or dent or dent. So, but not double for a 2010 bus will probably cost 10% less than a 2015. You don't have to pay twice as much every time you refresh your lease with the busing company.
Anyone else?
Really appreciate your time. Thank you for allowing me to address the board.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to recommend that Liberty Mutual Insurance be awarded the property casualty workers' comp insurance for the 15-16 school year.
Okay, so we need a motion to award the Liberty Mutual Insurance the property casualty and workers' comp insurance for 2015-2016. First by Mike Staub. Seconded. Call roll, please.
I'm sorry, who's second? Me? I didn't catch it. Okay. There you go. Meistow.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Leeser. Yes. Oakley.
Yes.
Ferrera.
Yes.
Who made the motion, second?
Mike made the motion.
Stephanie second.
And then,
You lead.
Thank you, everyone.
thank you very much.
Thanks, Leslie.
You have everything you need from us. And then consider amended 2014-2015 budget.
Hey, I've been working for, I guess, since the last month on putting together the amended budget for 14-15 school year. I was waiting to see kind of how things worked out with our Sangamon County taxes, and I do have to commend Beth Royce this year. She was on top of everything, getting us the Sangamon County money as quickly as she did. We had no problem getting that. We got it in this week, and so I was able to accurately put that into the budget. And I can tell you that we ended up better than what I would have anticipated. When I crunched the final numbers, we will have a balanced budget this year overall for the 4 operating funds. For the 4 operating funds, we will be around $34,000 in the black. That includes the education, the O&M fund, transportation, and working cash. An area that, of course, we're always concerned about is the ed fund. We did operate $37,000, looks like, in the red in the ed fund, but I will take that any year. $37,000 given the climate of state finances right now, I'll take that. So that wasn't bad. I think originally we were looked at a lot more than that being in the red at the initial budget, but things came in better than what was anticipated, so a minus 37. I think the O&M fund is going to be a positive 77,000 there. Transportation operated about 32,000 I'm projecting in the red. There is a chance, though I think a slim one, there's about $100,000 that has been vouchered. It was vouchered on the 17th of June. I would be very surprised if the comptroller releases that money, about $100,000, by midnight on June 30th. I think what they will do is they've vouchered it. I believe that payment will come in July, and they will count that as the first payment in the 15-16 school year, is what I anticipate. So that means we got 3 transportation payments. We're due 4. So when you look at our budget, had we got what the state was responsible for us, that 100,000, we would have been 68 in the black in transportation. And we have to keep in mind the ed fund, our general state aid was prorated at about $175,000. So even with that proration, we came out only about 37,000. I think it'll be around 37,000 in the red. So that was pretty good. Overall, like I said, I think the budget was in good shape. I will tell you that I'm projecting when I leave here Friday afternoon, I believe the district will be left with about $4 million in the bank. And that's the most this district's had in the history of the school district, so.
That includes the beginning with the incentive money.
That would include even the incentive money. So, all in all, I feel good about the condition I'm leaving the district in. I think, you know, if you continue on the pattern, the philosophy that I've utilized for 7 years, I think you're going to be okay down the road. We did get word today that the governor has signed the education budget for next year. One of the few things that's come out, and general state aid is projected to be prorated at 8% in FY16 versus the 13% that we were prorated total in this year. So that will help a little bit. They're saying that the categorical grants will probably be flat funded, so I think it's going to be probably about the same in the transportation and special ed and those grants. So I think there they are about the same. So a little bit of good news for the budget next year. You know, it's not good in the fact that we're prorated any, but 8% proration is better than 13% proration. So I guess that, and given the climate, that's probably about as good as we can get in the state budget. So like I said, we have worked this year to set in place some cost savings to continue on for next year. So I think you're going to be okay in the 15-16 school year based on the moves that we've made to prepare for 15-16. I think you're going to be okay there as long as you don't have unexpected things come up. But I think you're going to do okay for 15-16. After that, who knows? But again, I encourage you to try to continue on the philosophy that we've had for my tenure here. So, any questions about the amended budget?
What was the balance for the working cash? Yeah, the last of the big four.
The working cash, you mean the total fund balance?
Yeah.
I'm projecting that to be $1,557,084. Typically, what's recommended is that you carry, if you can keep your fund balances, which is not always possible, but it's recommended that the fund balances be about 25% of your annual expenditures per fund. And what I do is I lump the working cash and the ed fund together because in a crisis situation, you can abate working cash money into your ed fund. So when you look at that, we're sitting on, I think I calculated about a 41% ratio when you add the ed fund and the working cash together. So we're gonna end the year at about a 41% ratio of cash on hand versus expenditures, which is good to start the year. Now, you're gonna dip down as the year goes on, you know, there are times that you get down a little bit lower, but we have, you know, done some things to make sure our district's financially solvent, you know, and that money in that working cash fund helps to boost that. You've got that security there, you know, for when bad things happen that you can tap into if need be. We've not had to do that since I've been here, and hopefully you won't for a few years yet. So, but that's kind of where we are. So,
Good job to you and the whole entire staff for being prudent.
our administrators are learning to be as tight-fisted as I've been, so. They, you know, they do a good job of maintaining cost, and they try to look for ways to save every way they can, and of course, we always look for ways to save and give the best education we can, but yet be reasonable about what we're doing, and that's what our philosophy is.
I think this school district's one of the best kept secrets in the area as far as financial strength and what we've been able to accomplish with kids.
Yeah, I think that we've done all right, and I project that for the 5th consecutive year, I believe we will have the top financial rating in the state, financial recognition. I can't believe that there's anything out there that's going to stop us from that. I mean, like I said, we've got a balanced budget. Not a lot of school districts can say that, and we've got a little bit of money in the bank, so, you know, as far as our neighboring schools, I think there are probably some schools that trade places.
Good. Thank you very much for all that hard work. Anyone have any questions or other comments? If not, then we need a motion to approve the amended 2014-2015 school district budget.
So moved.
Motion made by Leonard Williams. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Don. Call the roll, please.
Williams,
Aye.
Leeper, Oakley,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Stop.
Yes.
Okay, get your ink pens out, because I need you to write your name about 5 times.
Okay.
On the yay side of these budgets, because what I'll do tomorrow, I'll electronically file the budget with the state board, and then I'll also send a copy of the budget to our county clerks and to our ROE. So we need to have those on hand. something that's done every year as a government entity. We have to agree for prevailing wages to be paid. We have jobs. I'd ask the board to adopt that resolution, and file it with the necessary state agencies.
Okay, so we need a motion to adopt the prevailing wage resolution.
So moved.
First by Leonard Williams, second by
I'll second.
Samantha Leeper. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We need to consider a loan from working cash fund to neediest fund.
We'll go ahead and let's do a motion on that, though I don't think that's gonna be needed. All of our funds are gonna be in the black, but just in case something bizarre happens over the next 6 days, that would allow me to do that. So I'm gonna ask you to go ahead and approve it, even though I don't think it's gonna be necessary.
Okay. So a motion to authorize a loan from working cash to any fund necessary to ensure a positive cash balance at the close of the fiscal year.
So moved.
Motion made by Mike Staub. Second?
Second.
Call roll, please.
Leeper, yes. Oakley,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Okay. And consider resolution for student transportation safety hazard.
We pass this resolution every year for the railroad track area and there in Eliopolis. I'm gonna recommend that you go ahead and pass that resolution tonight.
That's also the 36, isn't it?
Yes, it is, all together there, so.
Okay, so motion to approve the resolution for student transportation safety hazard.
So moved.
Mike Staub, second. Mike Oakley, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Consider approval of elementary school student handbook.
I think I provided some information to you, I believe, in the board packet. I hope you got it. I don't know, Ms. Jandren or Mr. Trick, do you have anything that you need to add to that, or if the board has any questions about that?
I just made a couple of notes on the 8 absences, that's per semester.
Yeah,
Okay,
and that way it's consistent across every school in the district.
okay. And the cell phone, they can have them in the room but can't utilize them at all, is that correct?
For the middle school,
Yeah, it would
middle
just be
school.
for middle school.
Okay, so nothing in the elementary, okay. I mean, are we planning or thinking, are they gonna use them like as a resource potentially, the ones that have smartphones, is that the process there?
that's kind of what we talked about with the committee. That was one thing we utilized this year was we put together a committee and let parents be part of it and teachers all the buildings. A lot of the teachers now allow them for like, rewards and things like that, or if they're doing a research project. And, that way we put it in the handbook so we have the ability to regulate it.
Okay,
That way we can say, and our biggest concern was teachers being videotaped or recorded and things taken out of context, and things of that nature. We just wanted to make sure that we were covered so we could handle those and the one thing when I went to a workshop this summer about legal rights in school, and Brian Schwartz told us to quit fighting this fight. It's, you spend more time punishing kids for having cell phones than, but if you put the responsibility on them from middle school up, you'll cut down on your behavior problems a lot.
to utilize them in the correct way from the get-go.
And the other thing too, we give them a computer, and then we say, don't use it. So we put it on their hands, and then we tell them, okay, don't use it for anything for educational purposes.
Okay.
Does this, does the middle school policy now, does that match up with high school?
I think that was their goal all
Similar?
along, was to try to get
Okay.
the two kind of on, to look the same, and
Mhm.
it'd be a much easier transition for the 8th graders coming over to
Right, okay.
already be working on those expectations in the middle school, so.
And the school I came from, we did this in Petersburg,
Mhm.
and it reduced the number of referrals by about 65% when they just let them have it. They quit fighting, being sneaky about it and stuff like that, and you know, it actually helped out quite a bit, because, you know, when I was teaching, I'd say, all right, you guys can listen to music while you do your worksheet, or, you know, work in groups, and it cut down referrals, it cut down, and there are some kids just like listening to music while they do homework. So.
Yeah. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? No. So we need a motion to approve the 2015-2016 Sangamon Valley Middle School Student Handbook.
So moved.
Motion made by Martha Leeper, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mike Staub. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Was that the middle school
Oh,
handbook?
that should have
Yeah, it
been
should have
elementary.
The elementary school first, and then,
Now just do
then
the,
we'll have the middle school.
Sorry.
Well,
we just
Should
do
we
the,
go back
just
to
do the
the
elementary.
Do the
Just
elementary.
adjourn.
A separate page.
so
Yeah,
we
do
did middle first.
Yeah, you could do the middle first.
That's what we just
Which did.
Okay.
did, so I'll just change it here. that
So
we
Martha
did.
did the motion, who was the?
I, and Mike seconded.
Now
That was
just go
for-
back and pick up the elementary, and then we'll end up with, we'll do the high school.
Okay, motion to approve the 2015-2016 elementary student handbook.
I'll move.
Moved by Mike Staub, second Mike Oakley. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And,
Then go ahead and go down, let's do a separate motion for the high school student handbook. That way we've got 3 distinct motions for each of the building levels.
okay, so motion to approve the 2015-2016 Sangamon Valley High School student handbook.
So moved.
Motion made by Larry Williams, second? I'll second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And on to consider request for 4th of July celebration at Harristown.
And we have, I've spoken with Rose Ross, and usually the East Campus is utilized by the Village of Harristown for their 4th of July celebration, that actually takes place at the end of June. But they've provided or they always provide the certificate of insurance and that type of thing that we require. We've never had a problem with the village and using the facility, so I would ask the board to allow them to use that again.
Okay, so motion to approve the use of the grounds at SVEE for the Village of Harristown 4th of July celebration.
I'll move.
Motion made by Mike Staub, seconded by Mike Oakley. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And consider use of bus for Niagara Library Summer Reading.
And I have not officially been asked for that yet, but usually about the time we have the meeting and it's too late to get it on the agenda, we're asked to do that. So I've done it in advance. If they don't want to use it, that's fine, but typically in the past, I know in the past 7 years, Shelley Perry has driven one of our buses to Niagara Library Summer Reading Program, never had a problem with it. I'd ask that it be allowed if we're asked.
Okay. Motion to allow the Niagara Library to use one bus with driver Shelley Perry for summer reading at no cost to the district if needed. Motion made by Mike Oakley, second
One second.
by Martha Leeper. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Consider sub-calling automated program.
And I'm gonna let Mr. Meadows talk about that.
Since I've been the high school principal, it's been the job of the high school secretary to do the sub-calling. And after working with 2 different secretaries and talking with them and say, what's the worst part of being a high school secretary? They say the sub-calling. And the reason for that is that
And they call for the entire district, to be
yes,
correct, right?
they do the
Okay.
entire district, and they can't get away from it. I mean, Erica tries to take personal days to do things, and you just can't get away from it. Sundays, they call all the time.
Mhm.
This ASOP program it's completely automated. They assign a person to us to help set up the program and integrate it with our SDS payroll management, and it takes care of all the paperwork. It is a little bit expensive for the startup. It's an additional $2,700. It'll cost us roughly $3,000 a year to operate that. with a, like I said, initial setup cost of $2,700. And then it's based upon the number of faculty that use it. And it's $4 for a faculty member that would need a sub, and it's $2 for a support person that may not need a sub necessarily. And we figured worst case scenario is going to be roughly $3,000. I think it's going to be, it'll come in below that every year because we do not have that many certified staff members that need to be called. But that would also include our aides and that sort of thing in that as well. So it is a nightmare to try to keep track of all that, but the statistics from this program show that it actually reduces the number of teacher absenteeism that we have throughout the school year. So I think it's a good program. Rochester uses it. They've not had any issues with it at all. There are districts the size of Mount Olive that use it, all the way up to the Chicago schools and suburbs. So
Well, it reduces teacher absences, that saves money.
Is there a way to do it and use it partially to where like the support staff and still call into the principal or their supervisor of a morning and we only pay for the certified staff that needs subs, or is it all or nothing?
I don't think it's all or nothing. You can decide how you want to set the program up and who's going to be on the list to be called. I would recommend that if there's somebody that needs a sub, to be on that program. The benefit of if they do not need a sub, but yet they're still on there for the $2 to have them on there, I mean, it's worth it in paper savings and just to be able to keep track and monitor all of that is automated. So it cuts down on the work that Carol also has to do in the superintendent's office.
So just for clarification, the 3,000, or the subscription price, the $3,000 a year, is that including what you figure as an average number of subs that you need for the year, or is the 4 and 2 come then on top of the 3,000?
No, it's solely, that 3,000 comes from the number of staff members that we have that would need. And
Okay.
it doesn't matter if they call in one time or 50,
Okay.
that cost is not going to change. It's not going to fluctuate with the number of absences that we have. It's going to fluctuate with the number of people using it.
I see, I thought it was per call.
Oh,
No.
I did too. I thought it was $4 every time
No, no,
no.
a certified staff needed.
It's $4 per month per faculty member, and then $2 per month for those that do not need a.
Okay.
And one of the things to consider too, and Mr. Meadows had talked with me about this, is when the new high school secretary was hired in, since that person was not going to have that additional duty, we hired that person in at a lesser pay.
Rate of pay, yeah.
And that will help offset your cost on an automated system. It won't pay for it, but it'll help offset the cost, so.
Well, it also gives us an opportunity to keep quality people in that position and not burn them out and not want them to go somewhere else.
Anybody have any questions on the system? I guess I do. When it calls, it then calls into making pie, I mean, where do you get your sub? What does it do for you?
When they set up the program, they will add all the subs into the system, and then we'll call off of that list.
Goes down the list that you've approved, okay.
And then it gives automatic feedback of, through an email of who's going where, and that somebody had actually been assigned to.
Report to wherever they're. Okay.
That was my biggest fear, was that they would call and then there'd be nobody show up. Talking with the administration at Rochester, that just doesn't happen. And they're much larger than we are.
So it also handles then the scheduled absences, like the personal days out, and not just the night before calls.
Yep.
Okay.
Does it handle the FMLA?
I believe that I think we'll do that as well. That would still have to be approved by the board and.
The long-term.
Once
plan.
it's approved, it can be put into the program.
Yeah, it would remove that sub from the list in a long-term situation. And then it would keep track of all the paperwork for that, all the reporting and such.
Any other questions? So then we need a motion to approve the automated sub-calling program purchase as presented by Mr. Meadows.
So moved.
A second
I'll move.
by Mike Staub. And roll call, please.
Oakley,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Leeper, yes.
Okay. And then consider bus lease.
I think I've given you some information. We've had a bus, a wheelchair bus that I think was purchased back in 2010, 2011 somewhere. It has had multiple problems recently in the last year or so, and it's probably time to do something different. So I'm recommending that we own that bus. So what I'm recommending is we drop ownership, we trade that bus in on a lease and go with Midwest Transit to lease a wheelchair bus. This would be a 2013 wheelchair bus. It's gonna be more reliable, more dependable, and, you know, we're not gonna have the costs involved in repairs that we've had. So, I met with Ron Grant at Midwest and kind of negotiated a deal with him. I think it's a good move for the district.
Any questions?
Now, is that gonna be our bus for how many years?
I think it's a 2-year lease. In other words, we'll switch it out just like the rest of them.
Yeah,
So,
'cause this summer we're getting 2015s
Right.
for the other buses, but this
Right.
one's a 2013.
yes, but I think it's gonna be a 2-year lease is what the agreement said.
Just a cost-saving measure and to not go with the 2015 then,
Yes.
just to get a,
Those
Get those
buses
together.
probably don't get the miles on them. but-
No, it's
We
not,
don't
it's
have
not
to
gonna
utilize
be
it.
used, you know, it's not gonna be used for trips and things like that, so I think that's the thing to do.
okay. Any other questions? So we need a motion to enter into a lease agreement with Midwest Transit for a 2013 wheelchair accessible school bus with the terms as outlined in the lease agreement and financing is arranged by Midwest Transit. Excuse me. Motion made by Leonard, second,
I'll second.
Mike Staub, call roll please.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Leeper, yes. Oakley.
Yes.
Okay. And at this point, it looks like we need a motion to enter closed session.
So moved.
Motion made by Martha Leeper, is there a second? Mike Oakley. And any roll call roll, please.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Leeper, yes. Oakley,
Yes.
Guerrero.
Yes. Accept the closed session minutes as read in closed session.
So moved.
Motion made by Leonard Williams, is there a second? Motion, second by Mike Oakley. Call roll, please.
Leeper, yes. Oakley,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
And I need to have a motion to accept the resignation of Jeff Quimby as high school Scholar Bowl coach.
Moved.
Motion made by Martha Leeper, is there a second? Mike Staub, call roll please.
Oakley,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Leeper, yes.
And a motion to accept the retirement resignation of Dennis Hartwig as district custodian effective on June 30th, 2015.
So moved.
Motion made by Martha Leeper, second.
With
Mike
regret.
Staub. With regret. And congratulations. And call roll, please.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Leeper, yes. Oakley.
Yes.
A Motion to accept the resignation of Lynette Grisham as teacher effective as of today.
So moved with regret.
Leonard Williams first, second,
With regret also?
Mike Staub. Call roll, please.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Leeper, yes. Oakley,
Yes.
Guerrero.
Yes. Motion to employ Rachel England as high school science teacher.
I'll move.
Motion made by Mike Staub, second,
Second.
Martha Leeper. Call roll, please.
Williams,
Yes.
Leeper, yes. Oakley,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Staub.
Yes.
Motion to employ Katie Barrett as high school Scholar Bowl coach.
So moved.
Motion made by Leonard Williams, second,
Second.
Mike Staub. Call roll, please.
Leeper, yes. Oakley,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Motion to move Heather Hutchins to full-time custodian.
Moved.
Martha Leeper, second, Mike Oakley. Call roll, please.
Oakley,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Leeper, yes.
Okay. Motion to employ Rachel England as assistant middle school softball coach.
I'll move.
Moved by Mike Staub, is there a second? Mike Oakley, and call roll, please.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Leeper, yes. Oakley,
Yes.
Motion to approve the educational support staff schedule for 2015-16, salary schedule, excuse me, for 2015-16.
so moved.
First by Martha Leeper, second, Leonard Williams, call roll, please.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Leeper, yes. Oakley,
Yes.
Guerrero.
Yes. Motion to approve the updated non-certified employee handbook. Motion made by Leonard Williams, seconded by Mike Oakley, call roll, please.
Williams,
Yes.
Leeper, yes. Oakley,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Staub.
Yes.
And, am I missing a motion?
No, the last one is the motion to adjourn.
We're not doing in Stan's position?
No, we don't have to do that. That will be a staff assigned to that by the administrator. We won't do that.
Okay, so is there anything else before we leave this evening? So we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Mike
You gotta
Staub?
do this first.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, Mr. Meadows.
I forgot to, sorry.
Yeah, we have a plaque in your honor for leaving us.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, for your recognition and appreciation for 7 years of service to Sangamon
Okay.
Valley.
Well, thank you.
Much appreciated.
I've only got 864 more school districts in the state of Illinois, and I'll have all school districts. So, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will hang that on my wall with fond memories.
You've done a great job here.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
We wish you well and good luck in all of your new adventures.
Well, thank you.
And then we need a motion to adjourn.
Mike,
I move
made
to
your motion.
Okay, and seconded. Leonard Williams.
Mhm.
Call roll, please.
Leeper, yes. Oakley,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Staub,
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.